Imagine spending $14 billion and getting nothing. Now, imagine doing it on purpose. Berlin-Brandenburg Airport was supposed to open in 2011. It opened in 2020, 9 years late, 4 times over budget. And here's the kicker. Some people made a fortune because it never finished. Welcome to the most profitable failure in aviation history. How does delay become the business model? And what does it say about us that the chaos was more lucrative than the cure? Let's rewind. 1990, the Berlin Wall falls. Germany reunites. Berlin becomes the capital again. But there's a problem. The city has 3 airports, all of them tiny, all of them Cold War relics. So, Germany dreams big. 1 airport, 1 symbol, the gateway to the new Europe. Berlin-Brandenburg Airport, codename BER. It would replace everything. Modern, efficient, German engineering at its finest. The plan? Open in 2011. Budget? 2 billion euros. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's the twist. They broke ground in 2006, but they hadn't finished the blueprints. Let me repeat that. They started building before they knew what they were building. Why? Politics. Berlin wanted the glory. Fast. The airport would host the 2016 World Cup crowds. It would prove Germany had arrived. So they poured concrete on hope. And hope, as it turns out, doesn't meet building codes. Germany bet its reputation on speed. But speed without planning is just expensive chaos. And chaos? Chaos has customers. 2010, 1 year before opening, inspectors walk through the terminal. They find 66,000 defects. 66,000! The smoke extraction system doesn't work. The escalators go to the wrong floors. Cables are buried in concrete, unreachable, unfixable. But here's where it gets weird. Every defect spawned a contract. Every delay created a job. Consultants flew in. Engineers were hired to fix what other engineers broke. Lawyers drafted amendments. Contractors renegotiated. Berlin became a gold rush for anyone with a hard hat and an invoice. The cost of delay? 40 million euros per month. That's about $1 per second every second for 9 years. You could have funded a small country. Instead, they funded stagnation. And here's the thing. This isn't just about Berlin. It's about all of us. How many times have we seen a project at work, a relationship, a dream drag on because fixing it felt harder than just continuing? BER became the world's most expensive procrastination. Delay isn't failure if someone's getting paid to wait. The airport was broken, but the breaking was profitable. And that created a perverse incentive. Why finish when unfinished pays better? But who was collecting those checks? And why did no one stop them? Meet the invisible winners of BER. Construction companies, consulting firms, legal teams. Every year of delay added another digit to their revenue. One fire safety consultant was paid 50 million euros for a system that didn't work. Another firm billed 800 million just for project management. What did they manage? The delay. And then there's the airlines. You'd think they'd be furious, right? They were, publicly. But privately? BER's delay kept their competition grounded. Literally. New low-cost carriers couldn't enter the Berlin market without gate space. Existing airlines kept their monopoly. Ticket prices stayed high. So while passengers suffered, the industry quietly thrived. The best way to keep your competitors out? Build an airport that never opens. And the politicians? They were trapped. Admitting failure meant ending careers. So they doubled down. More funding, more extensions, more speeches about just a few more months. BER became a poker game where everyone was bluffing, but no one could fold. The pot kept growing. And walking away meant admitting you'd wasted billions. So they stayed in and kept betting. The delays weren't a bug. For some, they were the feature. And the longer it lasted, the harder it became to stop. But here's the question no one wanted to ask. What if it was never meant to finish?
Now let's be clear, there's no smoking gun, no secret cabal meeting in a Berlin basement. But motive, means, opportunity? All there. German journalists uncovered something strange. Key decision makers kept changing. Every 18 months, a new project manager, new priorities, new plans. Why? Accountability vanished. No one person could be blamed. The system was designed to diffuse responsibility. And when responsibility disappears, so does urgency. But here's where it gets almost beautiful. In 2017, Berlin said enough. They brought in new leadership. Not politicians, not consultants, engineers. People who actually wanted the thing to work. They stripped out the complexity, fired the profiteers, focused on one goal: open the doors. And in 2020, mid-pandemic, no crowds, no fanfare, BER finally opened. 9 years late, 14 billion euros over budget, but finished. Sometimes the only way to finish is to stop making money off the mess. BER opened when the incentives finally aligned, when finishing became more valuable than delaying. But what did we learn? And what does this say about every unfinished thing in our lives? Here's the uncomfortable truth. BER isn't an anomaly. It's a pattern. California's bullet train, 40 billion in, no trains. Sydney's Opera House, 14 times over budget. Boston's Big Dig, 8 billion over. Why do we keep doing this? Because humans are terrible at long-term projects. We overestimate our abilities, underestimate complexity. And once we're committed, sunk cost fallacy takes over. We throw good money after bad because admitting failure feels worse than continuing the bleed. Think about your own life. That degree you're not using. That business idea you keep planning. That relationship you know isn't working. How much are you spending time, energy, money just to avoid saying, I was wrong? We don't fear failure, we fear the admission of it. BER was a poker game, but so is everything. We stay in hands we should fold. We bet on plans we should scrap. And sometimes the house always wins because we refuse to leave the table. The airport finished when Germany finally folded the bad hand, but only after losing billions in the process. So what happens when the house is us? Let's go back to where we started. $14 billion, 9 years, 1 airport. But here's the twist. BER works now. It's quiet, efficient, boring. Everything an airport should be. And guess what? No one talks about it anymore. The story wasn't the airport, it was the disaster, the chaos, the never-ending saga. We're wired for drama. Completion doesn't trend, failure does. So we build systems, conscious or not, that reward the spectacle, not the solution. BER made money by never being finished because we paid attention to it. The consultants invoiced because we kept watching. The politicians survived because we debated. And now that it works, silence. So here's the question I'll leave you with. What are you delaying in your life, not because you can't finish it, but because the chaos is easier than the closure? What's your Berlin Brandenburg? If this made you rethink anything, even for a second, hit that like button. And if you've got your own mega project unfinished, drop it in the comments. Let's see who's got the wildest BER story. See you in the next one.